Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I'm back out here in my garage to give you a initial thoughts and impressions video on two firearms that I recently took to the range and shot. It's late at night and I just got back from a bike ride, and I often bike ride around my neighborhood at about 10 or 11 o'clock at night because number one, it's hot generally in the summer here in Texas, and I don't want to be hot, so it's cooler at night. Number two, I have a bald head, and I already have a little bit of sunburn from my little short vacation, but it's so much easier on me to do it at night, and there's less traffic and so forth. So I just got back literally in the garage from bike riding about 5 or 6 miles. And I shot these guns yesterday. So if I sound a little bit tired, if I sound a little bit exasperated, it's just because I just got back from a bike ride. All right, so let's talk about the two guns that I took to the range today, or sorry, not today, yesterday, and one that honestly I filmed the garage portion of the range report on this afternoon, and that is going to be the LMT MRP-L Specwar. That's exactly what this model is. So it uses a LMT Mars-L lower receiver. It's one of 150. It's a limited edition firearm in this OD green color. And I did a little bit of research on it before, I guess, filming the garage portion of the range report. This is a fantastic gun. It was designed in collaboration with some special forces, but that's what LMT says. They don't specify which special forces. But, you know, they have a lot of military contracts throughout the world with, like, New Zealand, Estonia. I think they have another one now. England or the Great Britain, they use it for their kind of sniper rifles and things. I'm trying to think, there's another country that recently did a contract with them. But anyway, yeah, so they have a lot of contacts in the military world. And this gun was kind of designed for CQB. So I review it at the 25-yard range. I had one concern with it when I took it to the range before I shot it, and that was going to be the mid-length gas system. This gun has a mid-length gas system, and normally I don't like mid-length because on shorter barrels we don't have a lot of dwell time, so they have to open up that gas port, so the gun usually runs pretty gassy for me. But this gun is well balanced, it's gassed perfectly, it's exceptionally low recoiling, and I don't know, it's just a great shooter. The shootability of this gun is off the charts, fantastic for what it's designed to be. And I had a great time with it, just a great time. And I think I would have preferred to have reviewed it with iron sights. D, who linked this to the channel, has a really nice aim point on it. So I'm not going to complain about that. I mean, this is one of the nicest optics out there. Is this the new... no, sorry, it's a Micro T2, and that's just a fantastic optic. But I like, for 25 yards and less on a gun like this, to have a little bit less of a footprint. So if you have a red dot on it up here at the top, especially one with a very high mount like this, which is fine. I mean, it allows you to see through the red dot just fine. It's just a little bit bigger and taller than I would want it. I just kind of like iron sights. I'm just an iron sight guy. I do appreciate the red dots. But the gun shot great, and spoiler alert, it gets like a perfect review. I thought I was going to give it like 4.5 stars out of 5, but after shooting it, after looking at the range footage and thinking about what it was designed to be, it's 5 out of 5 stars. It is honestly one of the nicest small AR-15s that I've ever shot, and it fills its designed role perfectly. Well balanced, well gassed, low recoil. It's compact. It's not a 10.5-inch barrel. I like the 12.5-inch barreled ARs. Just an outstanding gun. Awesome gun. No problems whatsoever. And I can almost guarantee that D is probably going to SBR this thing, because right now it is a braced pistol. I bet this thing is going to be sweet as an SBR. But absolutely outstanding for this. I absolutely loved it. I had to think about how I was going to title the video, because I did title it the way that this firearm is advertised at certain places, because normally I would look at this and say it's a Mars-L because it uses that lower receiver. But that's a very generic title for the LMT firearms because they have so many different upper receivers. But because it's the MRP, monolithic rail platform, and this one's actually a little bit different than their other MRPs because it removes the QD slots at the end of the rail and extends the rail a little bit further, and that was part of the specifications that the Special Forces wanted. It's not really a Mars-L, so I did it as a LMT MRP Specwar 12.5 because that's kind of what the model is, even though it doesn't say it on the receiver. But limited edition, 1 out of 150 in this olive drab color, and just great gun all the way around. This might be my favorite LMT that I've ever reviewed. Of course, besides my Mark 18, kind of clone-ish little SBR that I have. All right, so the other firearm that I reviewed, and I didn't know how this one was going to go. This is the Smith & Wesson Model 30-1 revolver. And I had to look up this model. I was not familiar with the Model 30. And this one is on loan to the channel from Jack number 1. And on the side of the barrel, this thing was originally chambered in 32 Smith & Wesson long. That's what the Model 30 is chambered for. But this gun, I shot 32 H&R through it. So in order for that to occur, someone in the past had to have this cylinder bored out a little bit more. So essentially, it's like an elongated 32 Smith & Wesson long case. So I guess it's kind of like shooting, I guess, 357 and 38 Special through the same gun. And I was worried because I did look at the ballistics of 32 H&R, and it's a little bit more powerful than 32 Smith & Wesson long. So my concern when I was going to shoot this, I told Jack, I said, you have to release me of all liability if I shoot this, especially with the ammo he provided, that if it blows up, the cylinder cracks or the top strap breaks, I'm not liable for that. You lent me the gun, you lent me the ammo, and you said I could shoot it. Because I was worried it was going to be a lot more powerful in a firearm designed for 32 Smith & Wesson long. Excuse me. And let me tell you, this is a sweet shooter. Man, is this gun nice. And I love so much about this. So aesthetically, I love the way the old classic Smiths look. I like the unprotected ejector rod. There's just something about that. It's like old school. I know a lot of times we have this underlug to it now that protects it, but I just like the way that that looks. It's a small revolver. I love this small grip to it. And normally whenever I see a 38 Special or 357 Magnum with this type of grip on it, it's going to hurt. It's just too small. But in 32 H&R, man, is this gun comfortable. This gun is such a great shooter. And as a revolver, it's pretty accurate. Now, I don't shoot revolvers as well as I do semi-autos. But I will say my shooting footage is pretty good on this. I think the analogy I'm going to use going forward is a car analogy. In that when I drive an automatic, I mean, obviously, I think anybody can drive an automatic transmission. I do know how to drive a stick shift. I can drive manual, but because I don't do it very often, I haven't done it in a long time, I'm not going to shift a manual transmission car possibly as smoothly or as good as I normally would. Well, I don't shift an automatic, but you guys know what I'm saying. I'm not going to drive it as smooth. Now, that doesn't mean with a little bit of practice, I can't get really good at it, but I know how it works. I know how it functions. I know how to use it, and I can use it. I just will not drive it as good as an automatic transmission car. That's kind of the way a revolver is for me, in that I appreciate revolvers. I understand they're different than semi-autos. I understand you hold them differently. I understand that you shoot them differently. And I just don't shoot them as well. But I think this one I shoot pretty good. And it really impressed me. It really impressed me. I am kind of curious what a Smith & Wesson collector would do with this gun. Would they look at this and appreciate it for what it is, since it has been bored out for 32 H&R, or because it's not original like a Model 30, does it lose its value? I'm not really sure what the appeal would be to a Smith & Wesson aficionado. as just a general gun guy, this revolver is awesome. But I don't know what the long-term, as I said, value of it is. The gun shoots great, low recoil, but it definitely still feels like it has some good power. At 25 yards, I was able to get it into a circle about this big, which is pretty darn good for me, considering it has the little trench sight and the little blade sight in the front. I love that it has all of the old classic stuff that a Smith & Wesson would have, like the pinned barrel. It does not have recessed cylinders, or a cylinder in it, but it does have the firing pin on the hammer. This thing's pretty sweet. I didn't know how I was going to review it. I'm still not 100% sure. I'm still editing the range footage of it. But this thing is pretty awesome. This thing is pretty awesome. Might be one of the nicest Smith & Wessons, or shooting Smith & Wessons I've ever reviewed. It's not my favorite. My favorite is the TRR-8 and 357 Magnum. That's like a tactical revolver. I want one of those so freaking bad. But this one is really nice. What a pleasurable experience at the range with this. And it obviously can handle 32 H&R no problem, and it wasn't as powerful as I thought it was going to be. So that was my experience with the Smith & Wesson Model 30, a discontinued model. You know what I would like to find? And I've actually looked online to see if anybody has ever compiled a list of all of the Smith & Wesson models. So like the Model 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, some of them I know early on had some weird nomenclature. Like there wasn't a Model 4, there was like a Model 1 4th version or something like that. And that's what they consider the Model 4. But I'm just kind of curious if you could just go through the numbers and just see. Because, you know, there's a, Model 29, which of course is the 44 Magnum. This is the Model 30. I guess there's a 31, a 32, a 30. I would just like to know what they were. Why do they choose those certain model numbers, and actually have it as like a spreadsheet and see, because I really can't find that. And if you know where I can find that, let me know. I'd be very curious as a kind of a gun guy that loves the history of guns. And I'm sure some gun historian has put that together. So anyway, that's what I got for you tonight. My initial thoughts and impressions on the Smith & Wesson Model 30-1 and 32 H&R, not the original chambering, and the LMT MRP-L Specwar 12.5. This thing was awesome. Both guns were awesome. Just a great time at the range yesterday, and that's it. So let me know what you guys think about either of these firearms. Which one are you looking forward to seeing the review on? And if you made it to the end of today's video, the word of the day. Well, the word of the day is going to be trying to think here. Something a little bit different than I normally use. Okay, my favorite color, because the LMT is OD green. Green is the word of the day. And as Kermit the Frog says, it's not easy being green. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And thank you, as always, for joining me here in the garage, especially post-bike ride, where I'm a little bit tired. So, as always, thanks for watching.